So how much should you really pay a landscape contractor? Hey, I'm Norma with Creation Landscape Designs and the Friendly Landscapes blog. In this video, I wanted to share with you the cost of construction. But before I do that, I make videos about tolerant landscapes, California native plants, sustainable design, and anything and everything in between. So if you'd like to get more of that content in your feed, then hit the red subscribe button. I'm also a residential landscape designer, so if you are a homeowner in need of residential landscape design services in Southern California, I'll have a link to my business website in the description of the video. So I tell all my clients that the contractors that I refer to you are licensed, bonded, and insured, have workman's comp. They have a crew, they know what they're doing, they do one project at a time. I have worked with them before. Oh, here are examples of projects that so-and-so installed for me. And they itemize all their bids. One line item for planting materials and labor, for demolition, irrigation, lighting, etc. Now, in regards to landscapes, the cost really depends on what materials you're using. If you're using, say, flagstone as a paving surface, that will cost more money than, say, using decomposed granite or concrete. Because while the flagstone itself is not expensive as a material, it's the labor involved in putting it in that becomes pricey. Because it's like laying out a jigsaw puzzle. And then you got to make sure that every single piece is decently level. If you're using plants, if you're installing a bunch of 1-gallon plants, that doesn't take much time to install. But if you're doing a 24-inch box tree, that takes a bit more time. Now, plants are the least expensive cost of a landscape. But typically, if you've got a small size yard, you're looking at spending anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000. If it's a medium size yard, anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000. And if it's a large size yard, it could be $30,000 to $60,000. But then there's other factors that affect the cost of design. For example, let's say you want a pool. And you don't want a basic rectangle, you want it kind of shaped, funky, you want a water feature. Well, that will probably run you a good 60 grand, maybe more. Because with a pool, you gotta dig very deep, remove about 8 foot-ish of soil in one area and 3 feet maybe in another area. It takes a lot of work. And a lot of times, what drives up the cost of landscape is just the labor cost. It just takes time. And it's not something that can happen overnight. But the nice part when you hire a professional designer is they can easily give you a range and say, well, you're probably going to spend around this much. Or if you tell your designer, I have $20,000. That's my maximum. Then the designer can say, okay, we're not going to do flagstone because that'll eat your budget. We may do decomposed granite and just in a few areas have little flagstone pieces. But the designer can relatively, with some ounce of accuracy, be able to roughly tell you what the design should cost to install. But you gotta be clear-intended on how much money you have to spend. I meet with homeowners that tell me, oh, I don't know how much it's gonna cost. And I spent on a number of 10 grand. That's more than what I was thinking of spending. It's like, okay, well, and I tell some homeowners that, look, this is what I think it's gonna cost in range. If that's more than you can afford, then I wouldn't even bother hiring me.